Hey family, Joseph Baba Ifa here, connecting you to your destiny once again. New video coming out right now about a topic that really touched me, coming from a subscriber, talking about a very delicate situation. And that topic today is going to be about the Abiku, or the Abikus as they're known, right? If you haven't had the opportunity, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you're not missing any wonderful information that we're putting out here on the channel, right? So what ended up happening is said person relayed a very touchy subject, a very sad subject, where they actually I believe miscarried, if I'm not mistaken. And they had heard of the concept of abikus, and they wanted some clarity on it because they're trying to conceive again, and of course there's trauma there, there's pain there. So my duty as a Babalawo is to clarify things from a spiritual standpoint within this spiritual science, so that we don't have fear from continuing this thing called life and humanity, right? So the abikus, really, when we're talking about this concept, it's all in the name. When we translate Abiku, it translates into born to die, unfortunately. Now, these are energies that, really enjoy causing sadness, really enjoy causing misfortune, especially to women. So someone can actually be identified as an Abiku even in heaven, and they can come down with this energy that actually attaches itself to the soul or to the body of the infant, right? An Abiku can be somebody that was conceived and was never born. An Abiku can be somebody that unfortunately was born and transitioned shortly thereafter, right? So what we usually have a habit of as Babalawo is when someone becomes pregnant, we want to consult them, and we want to see what Orumila has in store for this term, right? So everything could be going great, and you might not have to do anything. Things could be a little more intense, and we may have to do some things. In Cuba, you saw some processes where things are done at the foot of Oshun, processes done to the stomach, with different materials. A big one is in Ikameji. It speaks of the pumpkin and the cleansing, or you may have heard of the term, to tie the stomach, things like that. These are all very viable and very effective things when it comes to preserving a difficult pregnancy, or that which is being divine that may be a difficult pregnancy. But sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it has to be a little more intense, and that's when we're interacting with these intense Abiku spirits that attach to the children to cause pain and suffering to the mother, right? So when we're talking about the Abiku, we have to see what the debts are. We have to see what sacrifices have to be made to kind of relinquish this spirit and remove this spirit if it's going to interrupt with the birth, right? There are Odoos that speak of giving hand of Ifa to someone prior to them being born. Even though it's spoken of in Odoo, not a huge fan of this. I'm always a big fan of Ori being present, of Ori having gone through its 7 or 9 day process, and then we can move forward possibly, right? There are Odoo, such as Odibe, or Idibe, or Edibere, that speak of this process. At the end of the day, this is something for you to discuss with your elders, and if you feel comfortable with it, who is anyone to say the contrary? But let's say this child's born with the Abiku attached to it. What are the characteristics it may have? It could be confused for being spoiled, right? Someone that doesn't eat much, someone that really is just a pain, or they don't really, accept direction or guidance or discipline. I remember I read an article or a piece of his book, I'm sure a while ago. It was by Mr. Wande Abimbola, the Yawise. And he says that he was identified as an Abiku. And because of it, people couldn't discipline him physically. You can't lift your hands to the Abiku, because the Abiku creates this energy where you actually begin hating the child and actually want to hurt the child, when it's really not the child doing it. It's the Abiku's influence causing the child to be uncomfortable and make everybody else uncomfortable. So one of the signs of being an Abiku is just being very rotten, spoiled rotten, or being confused for rotten. It's kind of like when you look at somebody, who hasn't been diagnosed with autism, and they can be easily, mistaken for being a child that, isn't assimilating discipline, when in reality there's more profound things going on there. And that's from the medical standpoint. But from a spiritual standpoint, that is possible as well. And that's what the Abiku is. It's something that's attached to the child to cause the child to, perish so that the mother can suffer. So the debt can be with the mother or specifically with the child. And this is what divination is for, to identify who and what. And it can even be with both, right? So these are the characteristics of the Abiku. These are the solutions for the Abiku. There are Odoos that speak of this concept. It's pretty prevalent in Ifa. I remember there's a sign in Ifa known as Odiche, where it actually speaks of the prevention of a loss of an Abiku by way of the chain on the ankle. Now, this isn't something that we do to everyone who's been identified with this. Sometimes to remove an Abiku, we don't need to do a specific process that's identified for Abiku. It might be as simple as, a cleaning, an ebo, etc. But there are other things that are more specific. Like, let's say a mother, or a child is born and he's identified with the Odoo Odishe, or the girl, and he's been identified as an Abiku just by what the Odoo is saying. There are processes within that Odoo to prevent that. At least in Odishe, I know it speaks of the chain that goes around the ankle. If you're not Odiche, you want to be very careful having these things. These are very specific things, and you see things that come up that become somewhat traditional, but we have to be careful applying certain concepts to everybody, because not every solution is compatible with every client. So be very wary of what you do, what you put on, what you incorporate in your spiritual routine. If it is not in line with your Odoo of hand of Ifa or Ifa, please don't do it, because you're literally frustrating your destiny and your spiritual DNA, right? Now, as far as solutions for Abiku, it's literally a matter of consultation, seeing what we need to do to rid ourselves of it, if it's still going to be an issue after the last loss, or if it's kind of fulfilled itself and we can move forward. To that specific subscriber, I appreciate you having the confidence in me to be able to ask me this question. It's very delicate. My condolences, like I sent it in the comment. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to go ahead and reach out to Joseph Baba Ifan, Botánica, Candles, and more, so we can kind of discuss your situation, maybe get a consultation done, and see what happened there. If there is anything underlying spiritual, or if unfortunately, it was more medical and unpreventable. But ideally, we want to be able to move forward, because the birth of a child, identified by Ifa as the greatest joy. It's also the greatest pain, but we focus more on the joy as parents. And sorry about that. And we want to see that happen if it's medically possible and spiritually possible. So we're here to serve, right? So once again, guys, Joseph Baba Ifa, Botánica, Candles, and more. We appreciate the support. Please subscribe if you haven't had the opportunity, and whatever you guys need, we're here to assist, right? So sincerely from all of us, you guys take care. Bless you.